So how come in North we're muted, right? No, it's just the YouTube. Shane, is this because it's your last count? Yad?
Yes, I'm okay to keep it.
Okay. Thanks. And I appreciate your comments, Dylan and Eunice, for sure. I will make a note. All right, we're back. So apologize for that small audio glitch, but I'm just going to refer back to Councillor Bressie and ask him to do the highlights and an update that he was speaking in regards to an economic development initiative that took place in the city last week.
Great, thank you. So yeah, just an update for council was at the time of committee, there was going to be a meeting for the National Angel Capital Organization. Of course, committee met over a week ago. So since then, that meeting has happened, and I can report that it was successful and that there were a number of community members there to learn about angel investing in our community. And it is an exciting thing that our economic development is working with our community on. The idea being that there are people with both capital and business wisdom in our community, and they should be connected with local entrepreneurs who might have an idea that they could be of assistance to. And so this really is about helping both investors and local entrepreneurs. I'm excited to see this conversation happening in our community. So if anybody is interested in helping see angel investing in our region developed, I'd encourage them to get a hold of economic development because we're looking for partners and champions in our community.
I just had a question for you, Councillor Bressy, because I had to jump off that meeting early for a Grande Prairie Regional Tourism AGM. What were the next steps of the meeting? What's the next plan? Like, is the group coming together again, or tell me where it goes next?
Yeah, thank you. So the next steps are that economic development and other leaders in this initiative are talking to community members and are continuing to talk to people who are potential champions. And that really is where we're at right now, trying to find a few local voices who really can champion and pull together a local network. But there will be meetings in the future, not announced yet, but the intention certainly is to continue to host open to the public conversations about how to make this happen here.
Perfect. Thank you for that update. Seeing no further comments and questions in that committee, I will move to Community Services Committee meeting of June 22nd and ask Councillor Plott to take care of the business.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I would just make a motion that Council adopt the minutes of the Community Services meeting held June 22nd, 2021 as presented.
Thank you for that. Seeing no comments or questions, I'll call the question. And move to other business arising. Council. Oh, apologies. There we go. That is unanimous. Moving along, Councillor Plott.
Yeah, so there was some business arising from committee. So I'd just like to make a motion that Council approve the funding allocations in the following amounts. Through the Arts Development Operational Funding to the Grande Prairie Intercultural Association in the amount of $5,000. From the Pursuit of Excellence, coach funding to Travis Duncan in the amount of $400. Also from the Pursuit of Excellence coach funding to Gerald Logan in the amount of $250. And again from Pursuit of Excellence athlete development funding to Grace Yackel in the amount of $1,000.
Great, thank you for that. So that motion is in order. Comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that's carried unanimously. Highlights from your meeting, Councillor Plott.
We had our verbal update other than the business that arised. So back then we were talking about stage 2 reopening with our facilities, and now as of July 1 we'll be going to stage 3 with our facilities reopening. We do have a few events coming this summer. So South Bear Creek is going to be hosting the U12 and U19 Girls Fastball Provincials in August. And City invites you to community to enjoy these Canada Day with it. Also for Canada Day is coming up here in a few days. So we hope you come down to Muskogee Park and enjoy some of the great events we're going to have there as well. And that were the highlights from the meeting.
Great, thank you for that. Moving along to the Protective and Social Services meeting from June 22nd. And Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I move that Council adopt the minutes of the Protective and Social Services Committee meeting held Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021, as presented.
Thank you for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no comments or questions, I'll call the question. That carries unanimously. Anything you'd like to highlight, Councillor O'Toole?
Yes, so we had 4 reports. One was a community coordinated care campus initiative. That was a verbal update. We also had a director services area report, but 2 reports that I really would like people to look up and look at in our minutes from last meeting was the Parkside project summary. This was a project that we've had for a while. The reason I'm not going to talk about it and want you to look at it, there's a lot of numbers and facts there, and I don't want to make any mistakes. And if you look at it, you can really analyze what actually went on. And I don't want to belittle it at all. It's a very, very good report. And I'm Catherine Schmidt. She presented it and did a great job. Also, one is the homeless strategy 2021-2023. Once again, there's a great report there. And if you're interested in these sort of things or you have questions regarding this type of social service, please look it up in the minutes and go through that and print it off and keep it there by your bedside. It's very, very good information. There's charts, there's numbers, there's good discussion, there's facts, And I can't say enough about it. It's a good product. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor O'Toole. Moving along, item number 9 on our agenda tonight, correspondence, and you will see in your package a letter from Minister McIver, the Minister of Municipal Affairs. This letter was sent on behalf of Council from myself to the Minister, talking about the associated costs with our rapid vaccination clinic. As you recall, the city's intent was to get this clinic open as fast as possible in a location where we could administer as many vaccinations as possible. So we were very responsive and acted very quickly in this. Through that, however, there was no early identified funding for this. The city took the initiative to offer this service to our residents, and with that being said, knew that we would go to the province and look for support for providing this service to the region. The letter was received from the minister, and the comments in the letter, as you can see there, are indicating that there was potential funding sources for this. However, I think some of my council colleagues may have some questions in regards to this letter, and happy to discuss further. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I've just got to say it's a struggle for me to remain using parliamentary language right now, because this letter, I'll say in a parliamentary way, it completely misses the point. And it is very disappointing to see. Most funding, when it was offered, was vaccination clinics like this were not on the radar, and it was not indicated that this money should be saved to cover the provincial's butt, as it failed to properly plan to deliver its responsibility, which is healthcare. MSI funding is long-term ongoing funding that is used for regular operations, since we have to deliver the majority of services that residents access while only collecting about 10% of tax revenue. These are not funding sources that were put aside for this. But even setting that aside, the main point and the main concern that I've got is that this was a cost that the city of Grande Prairie had to bear that most other municipalities in the province didn't have to bear. This is one that we had to bear as the urban area for the north. We really are subsidizing healthcare for our entire region, and we're one of the few cities that has had to do that. There are many other cities in Alberta where the provincial government fully covered the costs of these sites. This is a government that says that is obsessed with getting a fair deal, and so I am just so sick and tired of the hypocrisy of it, as they refuse to give a fair deal to our region. Whether it's forcing us to cover healthcare for the region, whether it's cutting Grande Prairie Regional College funding more than funding at other institutions, whether it's giving us less medical resources for our homeless and vulnerable population than are available in other regions, or I could go on and on and on. This is just another example of the government being happy to give Grande Prairie an unfair deal. And it's just, I'm proud of myself that I succeeded only using parliamentary language, because this letter is infuriating to me.
Thank you, Councillor Bressie. Further comments or questions? Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I'm in the same boat as Councillor Bressie here. I even, like Hurricane underlined, I am pleased to respond on behalf of the government in Alberta. This letter pretty much might as well said, I am pleased to slap you in the face. And I'm sorry to the Minister McIver for saying that, but it's the truth. When this came down, we wanted to be as responsive and act on the best interests of our citizens and work side by side with Alberta Health Services to create a plan that worked for everybody. And we followed all of their guidelines. They said they would take care of the medical expenses, but they would not pay for the venue, the cleaning up to their specs, the security as what they needed, as well as the parking guidelines. These are all costs that were borne by our municipality. Frankly, I think it's fairly disgusting, and I'll say that because we were told for well over a year, and I've said this before, that the only way back to normalcy would be to have the vaccine being put in people's arms. And a year and a half later, Alberta Health Services and the province of Alberta had no idea on how they were going to budget or fund for this, despite going through budget cycles. I don't think it's fair that our municipality, as well as other municipalities that are dealing with this, have to bear these costs, especially in these harsh economic times. And I think there's a disregard and maybe a misunderstanding from the minister's office as to what we did and our hopeful expectations in trying to protect our residents. So I don't know if there's anything nice I can actually say about this letter, except for the fact that it misses the mark 100% of the way. So I look forward to hearing what my other council members think about this, but not too happy at all.
Thank you for that, Councillor Thiessen. I just had a question, possibly because it covers a couple different directors' service areas. I'll ask CAO Galante the question. I echo some of the sentiment coming from my fellow councillors, I guess. But for me, in regards to planning for potential opportunities as we go forward in partnering with the province, what was the background on this facility? Did we have initial conversations with the province to say, okay, we're going to get this open as quick as we can. We're happy to support you. However, we're going to need financial support. Did we have those early discussions in regards to the financial commitments of this sort of investment that we chose to take a quick initiative on to support our region with?
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Yeah, that is correct. Initially, when the province put a call to activate vaccination centers, we quickly responded, identifying a couple of sites. One was Revolution Place. One was the Teresa Sargent Hall. That finally that site was chosen for the vaccination site. At that time, we did a calculation about the cost for deep cleaning every night, regular cleaning every a number of minutes, or patients going through the clinic. Security, there was a lot of discussion about security on site and the cost associated. So we voiced our concerns to the province. Myself had extensive conversations with a representative as well in Edmonton. At that time, the urgency of the matter was really superseding all kind of economic factors. So we decided to speed up the opening of the clinic. However, we were very clear that at a later date, we may be looking for compensation of the expenses, extra expenses incurred for that. And we left that matter at that point in order to really make it happen. Have everything ready. And when they decided to start the vaccinations, everything was in place. So with that caveat, I think the city expected some compensation for the expenses incurred. And at that time, the number I believe is about $150,000 in terms of the current cost. Thank you.
And go ahead, Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Just a question for our CAO, Galante. It's come under my understanding that there were several other rapid vaccination clinics around the province, notably in Edmonton and Calgary, where the municipality did not provide a venue for that, and Alberta Health Services had to pay for their venue through private spaces. Did I hear that wrong, or am I correct in stating that here today?
Yeah, that is correct, Councillor Thiessen. In some other locations, the venues were just privately owned. So in that case, there was just a private arrangement between the health authority and the property owner. In our situation, of course, MCC is a city facility, and the city at that time decided to again accelerate the opening of the clinic, have everything ready in place, and decided to deal with any financial impact at that later date. That generated the letter where the city sought some compensation for the extra expenses and the response you have in front of you now. Thank you.
And if I may,
Sure.
CAO Galante, did we charge them for the use of our venue at all?
No, there was no lease, no monetary lease for the use of the venue.
Okay, yeah, so thank you very much for that. So I just echo Councillor Bressy's earlier statements. It's this is an example of a complete disregard of the residents of the Peace region of the North and of Grande Prairie in particular. And I hope that we can maybe generate some action to get another response from the government, or to maybe at least get a better decision made by our government. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. If I can just add one more thing, I absolutely support the intent that it appears this region was disregarded in consideration. I know, for example, in Red Deer, the province signed a contract with a third-party facility that, although the municipality supports that facility, it's not owned by the city. So I can check with Mayor Veer, but I'm pretty sure that facility was not donated. And so in reality, the support for this, albeit in the scheme of things of what the city spends on other items, it's not a ton of money that we did. First and foremost, we wanted to take care of the safety of our residents and provide an opportunity for those who choose to be vaccinated as quickly as possible. And I think we executed that very well, and administration worked with the government to make sure that that was seamless. The problem here is the support after the fact. The province, as mentioned by Councillor Bressie, continues to appear to not be supportive of our needs. And regardless if you want to support us at the end of the day with a check, there should have been early discussions on this is what it will equate. It doesn't have to be all of the money. We would have been happy to partner. We wanted to get this done. But to give us no financial consideration is, in my opinion, quite unfortunate. So yes, it's great that we got it open as quickly as possible, but for the province not to support us in this, it seems like it ties in well with one of our AUMA resolutions coming up in regards to what we serve to the hub, to the region as you know, the hub city. So I do think that this is unfortunate. I will see Minister McIver the week after next, and absolutely happy to have a conversation with him, as it appears that council, there seems to be a consensus that this is, it's not the number of dollars here, it's just the intent that the province doesn't want to look to support us on an initiative that was so important. The province wanted to get the entire province vaccinated as quickly as possible. We were happy to work with them to get this done. And then after the fact, they're like, okay, thanks for doing that, but you don't get any support financially. So I think it's unfortunate, and I'll be happy to speak to Minister McIver when I see him in a couple of weeks here. So if there's nothing else on that, unless there's direction, I don't know if council has direction specifically. Otherwise, Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Yeah, I think this definitely warrants another conversation. Now, but I think it deserves to come from our council, and I think it needs to go to the highest level, and just so that they're aware of this. As I said earlier, they had over a year to budget and plan for this and how they were going to roll this out and make considerations for municipalities, not just private interests. So I would just move that council direct Mayor Clayton to write a letter of response to the minister and CC our MLAs, Travis Tays, Tracy Allard, as well as the Premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney himself.
If I could just have one friendly amendment, can I suggest that you also CC Minister Shandro?
For sure. Yeah, well, yeah, sorry, I alluded to that. I was just going to the CC at the bottom of the letter for all the people already included.
And then just add the Premier to the existing.
And Travis, oh yeah, Travis Tays already in there, thanks.
Okay, perfect. If there's no comments or questions on that motion, I will call the question. Sure. So before we vote on it, okay, we're just going to have a look at that. So the motion, as noted, is Council direct Mayor Clayton to write a letter of response to the Minister, so Minister of Infrastructure, copied to the Ministers of Health and the Premier of Alberta, and our local MLAs. Sorry to Legislative Services, we moved fairly quickly on that.
Sorry, Mayor.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Bressie.
I'm happy to move an amendment if I need to, or maybe it's a friendly amendment, but I also think it would be incumbent on us to make sure that members of the opposition are hearing about our concern as well. Perfect.
I think that that's a good friendly amendment. So I'll just wait for us to get that motion amended on our e-scribe so that it's in front of council. So as it states now, Council direct Mayor Clayton to write a letter of response to the Minister of Infrastructure, copied to the Ministers of Health, and opposition representatives, local MLAs, and the Premier. Councillor Thiessen?
Yeah, I heard Minister of Infrastructure, but Rick McIver is speaking on behalf of the Minister of Municipal Affairs. So I hope that.
Yes, should be Municipal Affairs. Yep, you bet. Okay, so I think everybody is covered in what they wanted there. Great. So I'll call the. Oh, sorry, Councillor O'Toole.
Yeah, no, I just support this very much. I think my fellow councillors brought up some good points, and I'm very supportive. So we can move on now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Councillor O'Toole. I'll call the question. Please vote. And that's carried unanimously. Item number 10, delegation business. We had no delegations here tonight, no notices of motion, so we will now head into council recess, and we will be back tonight at 6:30. 6 p.m., apologies. 6 p.m. See you then. Thank you.
Is that metric time or is that standard time?